My name is I'm terrible with this question. It was the
Right.
worst question of all of my interviews.
Yeah, this
I
is gonna
hate
feel
this
like a
one.
PA school interview, by the way.
Right? No, but my name is Alison. I live in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. I am a first year PA student in a part-time program at the University of Detroit University.
Awesome.
And that's about
Ah,
it.
well, we'll dive in because I want to know more about what brought you to medicine and then more specifically the PA profession. How did you kind of figure out that was what you wanted to pursue?
Well, I think it all started like when I was younger, really close with my family, and my mom. She actually went back to school when I was young, probably like preteens, for radiology technician, and she would bring us kids over and practice like her anatomy and try and like quiz herself with us, and she tried to make it like a game. And I always like was super fascinated. My siblings were like, "Oh, this is so dumb," but like I actually liked it. And I think I just always had this kind of fascination with how the body works, and how we're able to do the things that we can. It's just amazing. So that's kind of where I started off, kind of being interested in medicine and figuring out like how the body works. Um, and then with PA, I just kind of like honestly fell in my lap. I don't have like a super fantastic story about how I figured out about PAs, but I knew I wanted to do something in medicine. I took an EP bio class in senior year of high school, and that's when we finally started to learn about like things other than like photosynthesis or rocks.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I loved it. I knew that like I think this is what I want to do. I want to do something in medicine. And honestly, I just started researching jobs in medicine, and this just seemed to fit. The lateral mobility is so important to me. I love change. It's like, I probably repainted my bedroom wall like 3 times. I love change. I love changing things. I love that, I have the possibility of working in surgery one day and then switching to dermatology the next day. That's awesome. And I don't know. It really fit what I wanted. So, and I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing PAs, and they just kind of solidified that. And I'm really lucky that I got to figure out what I wanted to do so early.
So did you know before you went even into undergrad that you were going to go the PA route?
Yeah, honestly, I had this plan set up like freshman year of college.
Nice.
I knew that this is what I wanted, but I really didn't have anyone to explain to me like how to go about doing any of this. So honestly, it sounds cliche, but you were such a huge help, because I had no idea where to start. And I started following a bunch of PAs on Instagram, and it's just been such an amazing help at figuring out like, okay, what do I actually need to do? Where do I need to start? And it was just amazing. So I got lucky with
Well, it's
that.
such a confusing process, and that's what encouraged me to start everything with the PA platform from the beginning. But I appreciate you saying that. It's so crazy because I've been doing it now for 5 years, so I don't. It's weird because I realize like people have been following or whatever or using the blog for so long now, but. It's really cool because the community has grown so much and there's so many more people talking about PA stuff now, even in just 5 years. So I think that's
Right.
a good sign for our profession, I would think.
Yeah.
That there's just more and more recognition and information out there. So I have a few questions and then we'll get into kind of talking undergrad stuff. I think it's really interesting that your mom went back to school kind of when you were a little bit older. And I was just wondering if you had any advice, like from your perspective, to maybe moms who are going back to PA school. Like, was like, I love that your mom got you involved with her like studying and everything, but would you like have anything like, hey, like maybe try to do this because that was really helpful for us, or I think that's such a great example for kids to see. But how was that? Like, were you all excited for her? Was that stressful?
I mean, honestly, I don't know how she did it. I don't know how any parent goes back to school. I give them so much credit. But I think we were pretty good kids.
Yeah.
At that point, we were pretty much able to not really do anything on our own, but
Yeah.
we could keep ourselves entertained, which was nice. But my dad would try to cook dinner and try to help out around the house. That was great. But she just, she did her homework after we went to bed, and that's how she got through it. And like I said, I give her so much credit because I don't know how we do it.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, so kind of team effort sounds like making it happen. All right, so what was your major?
So my major was a super technical name, but I'll say it for you. It was biomedical diagnostic and therapeutic sciences.
Okay.
Which is very confusing. But honestly, I loved my major in undergrad. I went to Oakland University in Rochester, and they have this great program. The specialization that I had, or the concentration, was pre-professional studies, which really allowed me to kind of shape my degree in the way that I needed to. So they let me take a couple of classes that weren't really in, the curriculum, but they knew that I needed it for PA school. So it ended up working out really well. And the cell anemia actually looks like on a slide, which I think was just super awesome. And it really helped like solidify some of the stuff that I'm even learning now, which is awesome.
So it sounds kind of almost like lab based a little bit.
Some of my classes were, yeah, it kind of combines with like the medical laboratory scientists, like the classes that they would take to get their bachelor degree. But I really honestly found it pretty helpful. Like the classes like hematology, like I think I've heard some of the PAs, like they only spend one day on hematology, and I got to spend an entire semester. So I found it really helpful.
Okay. Did that option for a major go into your choosing that school for college, or it was more like you knew you were going there and then just ended up choosing that?
Yeah, honestly, I did some research. I liked that it was close to home. And then I found out about this major and I was like, that's perfect. Because I like more hands-on, being able to, I'm more of a visual learner. So I liked that I was going to be able to do these things that would help solidify things that maybe I would even learn like in PA school. And I really liked that.
Well, and it's nice that they were able to work with you on classes and like kind of make it work for you. That was an issue I ran into at UGA, which it was a long time ago when they didn't really know what PAs were, or what we needed for PA school, but like they wouldn't even let me take anatomy and physiology because it wasn't required for my major. And so I had to take it somewhere else, which I was like, I'm a biology major. I should be able to take anatomy. And so it didn't make any sense at all. But it was just how the major was set up. So they weren't like able to kind of work with me at all on that. So that's really cool. And that's something maybe people would need to like think about or look into or ask about, even if they're considering a school for undergrad. Because we talked a lot about what picking PA schools, which we're going to get into with you in just a second. But I think people don't even think about that with undergrad as much, and really like you knew what you were doing and were able to kind of set that up. So that's really cool. So when it came time to choose PA schools, were you gaining, experience throughout undergrad? Were you planning on a gap year? What was your kind of plan since you knew where you wanted to end up?
Well, so I wish I would have done more research for myself earlier,
Okay.
because I found out like junior year, like before I started junior year of undergrad, I found out like, oh, I have like 3 classes that I need to take. So I did end up taking a gap year, but honestly, I thought that it was really helpful because, I was able to really focus on writing my personal statement and making sure my CASPA was what I wanted when I submitted it, which was really cool. But as to like, you know what? I forget what the first part of that was.
Sorry, that was a lot. Just,
No, you're good.
with the, like, how were you gaining hours in patient care, and what were kind of your, I guess, steps throughout undergrad?
Yeah, so I ended up applying to like 12 positions at the hospital that's closest to me. Just because I knew like I wanted to get as much exposure in the hospital as I could, because it was something that I'd never had any experience with. I've been to the doctors before. I kind of know a little bit about like family medicine from that aspect,
Yeah.
but thankfully I've never had like a ton of experience with the hospital, and so I applied to a bunch of positions, and I ended up getting a nursing assistant position on a night shift. So I did Monday through Friday at the university, and then Friday night and Saturday night at the hospital. So I kept myself pretty busy.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. I loved the unit that I was on. The nurses that I worked with were amazing. And I think the experience of working with nurses and kind of understanding what they have to go through in a shift, if I do end up being a PA at the hospital, I feel like I can kind of understand like where they're coming from sometimes. And like, having that understanding of sort of seeing their position from a different light, I think is really awesome.
No, that's great. Were you CNA certified, or you just got hired and trained in the job? Awesome.
Yeah, they were really awesome about it. Yeah. I worked as a medical assistant too and never got trained for that either. So I got lucky in the positions that I ended up doing. And my gap year, I was a medical assistant at the end of senior year. And my gap year, I worked as a medical assistant at an urgent care. And that was awesome too, because that's when I really got to the PAs that I met were absolutely amazing. And I love them to pieces.
That's really great experience and a good variety for sure. So when it came time to apply, what did your application cycle look like as far as, how many programs you applied to, which ones you chose, what were you looking for?
Honestly, it was all about like how much I was going to have to pay to go to school.
Yeah.
Even though I worked, I still don't have, I'm going to have to take out a ton of loans for PA school. And I knew that going into it.
Yeah.
So I wanted something close so that I didn't have to pay for like room and board and groceries and all those other things that you have to pay for when you go out of state. So at the beginning, I only applied to the in-state schools that I could apply to. So I applied to like Eastern Michigan, Grand Valley, the University of Detroit Mercy, Wayne State University, and I think there's one more. But they were all like within a close vicinity. I think there was one, that I might have had to stay closer to campus for, but all in Michigan. And that's really what I was looking for. Obviously, we're really lucky here. All the programs are absolutely amazing. They're all accredited. I know that there's a couple more universities opening up programs this year, but the time that I was applying, they were pretty established programs. So that was pretty awesome.
Okay, so definitely close to home, which is good. You have your support system, and definitely a better financial decision. How did that end up going? Was there anything that you felt like made you stand out, or any red flags on your application that you were worried about?
I was worried because I didn't have like a 4.0 GPA. My GPA was like think it was like a 3.5, 3.6, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But I was worried because I wasn't going to be on top of, like, I wasn't going to be the number one in, GPA. But I felt like I had enough passion and experience that if I got to the interview process, they would be able to see that. So I really just tried to focus on, my personal statement and explaining like why this is really what I want to do. And, I didn't feel the need to explain my GPA.
So you're accepted at one program, and I'm assuming you decided to go there.
Yes.
So where are you at now?
So I am at the University of Detroit Mercy in Detroit.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about their program and what makes it unique.
Honestly, the biggest thing for me, one of the biggest reasons why they were my top choice, actually, was that I got to volunteer as a patient model for their program. So they have a class. Let me see if I've got it here. So it's patient evaluation practicum. They have a class where they actually bring in volunteers. Sometimes they're paid. I think like they're, I don't know if they do an OBGYN exam, but for like the respiratory, cardiac, we actually got to go in and we were the patient. So we got to see kind of like how the exams went for that class, and got to ask them any questions after they were done, or we got to speak to the faculty. And all of my experiences with the program were just amazing. I loved that we actually got to give the PA students feedback about how we feel they, spoke to us, if they treated us like, they just wanted to get in and out, or if they actually took the time to sit down and talk to us. And I loved that about their program, is they actually had real feedback from a real person about how they did their exams, which was awesome. I loved it.
That is really interesting. And is that like just for the like checkoffs, or is that for practicing too?
I think it's both, because they have, there's probably 10, 15 volunteers. And then for each one of us, we have, 2, 3 students that do their exam on us. And then there's someone that, checks off that they're doing everything correctly, that they know, how to do a full exam. And, the instructors would give them feedback if they were percussing too hard, or, not in the right locations, if they weren't doing something correctly, so they could make sure that each of the students was doing everything the way that they should be. So it was really cool.
Yeah, we mostly learned on each other in my program, and then we would have, for our checkoffs, there were a few that we had outside patients come in, but they were all like family members of our teachers. So I mean, it was good. I guess I never knew any different, and so that was fine. But yeah, that would be interesting to have actually like outside people, and I think that's actually what the medical school part did, was they had that. So interesting. That's something like different between programs. So they have a part-time option, correct?
Yeah. So the way that it works. Yeah. So the way that it works is when we submit through CAFPA, one of the questions for the program was, would you prefer to be in the 2-year program or the 3-year program? So the 2-year would be the full-time, and the 3 years the part-time. And then after you submit, they are probably one of the last programs to get back to students. I think I heard back I think I did my interview in like March, which is late. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
or February, March, something like that. And when you get accepted, they place you in the 3 or the 4-year program, and then you get to decide from there if that's what you want to do.
Okay.
Because you don't really get a choice. after you say your preference, and they will just put you in one of them. And honestly, I have nothing but good things to say about the part-time program so far. I think it's absolutely amazing.
So that's interesting. So when you apply, do you say that you have a preference, or do you, like, at any point? So you do say your preference.
Yeah, so there's like on the CASPA portion, like the program-specific questions, it says, would you rather be in the full-time 2-year program or the part-time 3-year program?
Okay.
And you click a button, 2-year or 3-year. But they will place you in one of them, and then you have to decide from there if
you want that option.
Want to do it or not. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So how far into the program are you now?
So I'm actually 2 months in now.
Okay.
So in our first semester still, and we just finished like our midterms.
Okay, cool. So what is the crossover or timing with the full-time and part-time program? How are they different?
So the way that it works is the full-time students take 5 classes in the fall, 6 in the winter, and then 5 again in the summer, and that's their year, the first the didactic year. So the way that it works for us as part-time students is we take 2 of the 5 classes, 3 of the 6, and then 2 more of the 5.
Okay.
And then next year we will take the ones that we didn't take this year.
Okay, so what's the schedule like, and the schedule difference?
So the classes that we take in our first year as part-time students is like anatomy, physiology, the general like biology, health classes, and then next year it ends up getting it becomes more clinical for us. So we actually take like clinical medicine, patient evaluation. We take, that's the 3 each semester is clinical medicine, patient eval, and then diagnostic and therapeutic procedures.
Okay.
So it's really cool. Like we get to kind of build up to it, which is kind of stinks now because I would love to be learning that now, but I like that we get to build on it slowly, and I really get to focus on what I'm learning, and really I feel like I'm not just learning it and then forgetting it because I'm trying to study so quickly, which I think can sometimes happen when you've got 3 exams in a week, or 4 exams in a week, and I think we're really lucky in that way.
Interesting. So how many students are in each section, or the classes total? I don't know if it changes each year.
So I believe that 50 of us were accepted.
Okay.
And then I think it's split half and half, but I'm not 100% on that.
Gotcha. Has it been weird? Has COVID, like, are y'all in person or are y'all online mainly?
So the full-time students are in person for like patient eval.
Okay.
But we are not as the part-time program. Like my patho class is online, and so is my anatomy, which was really weird because we didn't realize that our cadaver lab we wouldn't get to have this year.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, because there's no way for us to social distance and have like open labs and things like that. So right now I'm just studying from videos, which is a shame, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's just going with the times right now, I guess.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what does your schedule look like, I guess, in a week as far as time and class and things like that?
So with the part-time program, because it's only 2 classes, I just started a job.
Okay.
So that I could kind of try and pay off my loans as I go.
That's nice.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because we have the time for it. I work 2 12s a week, which is perfectly manageable for what I'm doing.
Okay.
I have 1 exam every Friday for my pathophysiology class. And then I have an anatomy exam about once a month. So it's really just pacing yourself because everything's online. We don't have mandatory lectures or anything like that. So I really just have to, kind of go with the flow and figure it out on my own. My planner has been my best friend for the last 2 months. So
That's interesting. I feel like every school is doing this online thing so differently. But for you and being able to set your schedule, I think that's really nice. Are you working at? What are you working as a CNA or?
So I went back to the hospital, one that's
Okay.
actually close to where I live now. It's called a clinical assistant. So I'm basically just the receptionist for right now.
Okay.
I kind of wanted something that would be a little less hands-on just for now. With all the stress of school, I just didn't want to add stress from work as well. So
No, and I think that's a very valuable position though, because I think the more different places you can get experience before you get into that clinical role as a PA is great, just to understand a little bit better each step of the process. And
and I'm learning so much about.
That definitely is probably more low stress than being, as hands on. But
yeah, it's nice because I'm learning how like orders work between the nurses and the physicians, or the PAs, NPs, and then how consults work. And I'm actually putting those things in, which is really cool. I never did that before, so it's been kind of nice to see the different roles.
Something new, yeah. That's cool, and I mean, definitely, even a little bit towards loans is very helpful. So that's great. All right. So what is kind of? I guess you've got a year and a half left of school or of the didactic, and then you'll do clinical?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Is there a certain area you see yourself kind of ending up in or staying open right now?
Honestly, I feel like, and I've heard from a lot of people that they agree, I feel like I won't really know until I do my clinicals. I feel like sometimes you think that, like, I love being hands-on. I think that doing procedures would be really cool. So like something like surgery, IR sounds amazing right now, but I'm also a very cold person. Like, I get cold really easily, so I don't know if surgery is going to be my favorite thing. So we'll see.
That's funny. Well, where can everyone find you and kind of follow along with what you're doing?
So I just started posting like kind of my journey as a PA student on Instagram. That's really mainly where I've been focusing. It's AW_aspire_to_PA.
Okay. We'll put it in the description and everyone can figure it out. So
there we go.
Awesome. Well, we'll be following along to see kind of where you end up and how things go.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be great. Well, thank you so much for doing this.